Hey y'all, welcome to the Traveling Civilian. My name is Alec, and here we go again. Another election year, another pandemic. It's crazy to think that our own government would be doing something that could cause its citizens harm, but then if you look back in history, it's nothing new. Governments have been killing off and harming their civilians, keeping them in control for years. So I guess we shouldn't be surprised. So when I get home at night from work, I've got a couple of hours or an hour or two to kind of get in these different rabbit holes. And I started seeing a bunch of stuff pop up about what is the exact name of this flu? The H5N1 bird flu, and how it is spreading all of a sudden rapidly. Well, who didn't see this coming? Back in 2020, when it looked like Trump was going to win the election again or become president again, we had the pandemic. They shut down the country. They made it to where they could control the votes with the mail-in votes, and lo and behold, 3 o'clock in the morning, water pipe burst, and Trump no longer is leading in the votes, and we get President Biden. Is that what's going on now? I don't know, it just seems awful familiar. So I've read several articles, and I get a lot of it off of X just to try to zero in on where I need to go, because thanks to Elon, that's about the most honest place you can get your news, and even that's questionable. So I got a few things here I want to talk about, but let's first start with, what was her name? Dr. Deborah Birx. Do you remember in 2020 you'd see her standing on the stage next to the disgraced Fauci, who is just recently in congressional hearings had to admit that there was no scientific studies or anything about the 6-foot social distancing, or that we needed to mask our children, or even for that matter that mask even worked. Well, Deborah Birx, who is now I think still with the government, is pushing for mass testing for the bird flu. Now, I understand there's been 3 reported cases of the bird flu here in America infecting people, and they are really spinning that, trying to get us all hyped up. It seems like the fear-mongering news, government officials, CDC, the WHO are trying to get us all worked up because they're scared they're going to be losing control. One of the news articles I read last night, early this morning, was from the Daily Mail. I wrote some notes. It says, U.S. is collaborating with Chinese scientists to make the bird flu. Well, that sounds awful familiar to what happened in 2020. The US and Chinese got together. Next thing we have the vid, and we are stuck at home. We lose our jobs. For me, I lost the family business. Family business went from making $600,000 a year gross to 0. because the world was shut down and we were not considered an essential business. I went and found a couple of articles or statements by doctors that I guess it's still so early in this virus that they have not started censoring anybody that dissents. And I'll post all these up as I talk about them so you can see them. Dr. Jane Ruby, H5N1 as a virus has never been isolated or proven to exist. Now, I probably saw a dozen news articles about this virus and how deadly it is, and I'm sure it is a virus, and I'm sure it's deadly. It just depends on how they spliced all the different parts together in the lab. I've even seen articles where it says, or heard podcast where it says that I think it's the WHO or the CDC said that this virus could have a 25% mortality rate. So it is something to be scared of, but it's still early on, and we have to see how it progresses. Let's see, Dr. Peter, he said that Dr. Bricks is pushing for the jab, you know, the jab, for not only for people, but for animals, I guess, like cows and chickens and you know, our food supply. So they're wanting to put Lord knows what into the food we eat. And we know how that worked out last time with all the jab issues that people had after the fact, all the injuries. And it's amazing that they haven't even really figured out what the bird flu is or where it came from, but it sounds like they've already got a vaccine for it. It's almost like they make the jab for it and then they develop the illness afterwards. I mean, I'm no doctor, I don't know. It just seems that way. Dr. Toby Rogers, he exposes how, I don't know if you saw the news article where they tried to get everybody worked up, where a guy in Mexico died from the bird flu, and it went on and on trying to scare the crap out of everybody. Well, let's hold on for a second and let this cart go by. Well, now Dr. Toby Rogers exposes how the man that was reported in Mexico to die from the bird flu actually had chronic kidney disease and type 2 diabetes. He has no history of exposure to poultry. And so he's saying basically that the whole thing was made up. That, so it seems like they're trying to get us all worked up into a frenzy. One other thing, it says, I found a thing on a post on X that says, lab leak was from USDA Southeast Poultry Research Lab. That's in Athens, Georgia. And a medical center in the Netherlands. I'll put that up above. So You know, here we are early on. They're talking about leaks, about it being man-made, about it how it being a project with the US scientists and Chinese scientists. I'm not sure if it's going to work this time. In 2020, when we got the vid, America had never been through anything like that. You know, before, in 2020, we had robust economy and all that kind of stuff. Jobs, everything was going good. Now we've got wars across the globe, inflation that is breaking the back of everybody. I did a video about the average American has no savings, their credit cards maxed out. Everybody seems to be more depressed, more mental health issues, more instability. So the world's in a different place than it was in 2020. I'm not sure the citizenship, be it here in America or in the world, is going to fall for another lockdown. You know, if they say we need 2 weeks, stay home for 2 weeks to flatten the curve, you know, we know better now. We know they're talking about a year and a half until the outcome they want comes about. So the takeaway from all this for me is that we need to start planning while we have the early warning signs. Think back to 2020 when we got locked down before, because we're not going to be able to control whether we get locked down or not. That is way out of our pay grade. But if we do, I think we've got time to get that toilet paper everybody rushed out for. All kidding aside, to get the things that we knew we needed after the pandemic started, to where we can be in a better place to get ourselves in the right frame of mind. The supplies that we need, be it medical, be it food, be it entertainment, be it community. And I think that's one thing that, you know, surprised us last time. In 2020, we were in Virginia, work camping, all of a sudden found ourselves out of a job. We resident out of Texas with our RV. So we had to beat feet back to Texas and find a way to make a living because we didn't have any savings. We have a little bit now. Not what we need. So the only plan I've come up with right now is save. So I told my wife this morning that, you know, we're in Montana, we're outside of Yellowstone, it's our second season here, that we had all these plans that we were going to go do all these touristy things. It's going to cost money. As I told her that we're going to work, we're going to try to put in some overtime, we're going to build up our savings, and then we are going to keep an eye on the news, because I know that if we get locked down, get travel restrictions, you know, we live in a motorhome. We travel for a living. We travel for our jobs. We travel for our entertainment. We travel for our life. And that we don't know if we will have to quit this job and move south before the travel restrictions get so restrictive that we're stuck up here in Montana in negative 30-degree weather trying to figure out how to live in a motorhome. All the RV parks will be closed down. I don't know what we would do. So we've got to be vigilant on keeping an eye on the news. try to anticipate what's going to happen and save, save, save. On top of figuring out what we're going to need and stocking up on it. So I brought you this whole video to A, make you start thinking, B, help you figure out what you need to do for your planning. And I think similar to our planning is you need to save money, you need to be vigilant, keep an eye on the news, and you need to stock up on what you think you're going to need, and you need to figure out how to stay safe. So that's all I've got right now. I just started digging into this morning. We may get some more videos on it later. Until then, keep planning, keep safe, and have a good day. Like, subscribe, share if you enjoyed this. YouTube is suppressing the hell out of my channel, and our viewership has gone way down as our content has been zeroing in more on our government and current events. So be vigilant. I'll see you on the next one.